Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Thursday, the 4th of August. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined again this morning by Craig Vickers. How are we doing, Craig? What's the weather like over in Glasgow? It looks like it's quite bright outside.
Yes, that's pretty good, to be honest, for Glasgow standards. I was at a walk earlier, and it was pretty good heat, so hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I get my flight back from Brussels this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. It was 33 degrees yesterday. I went a walk as well, and honestly, it was like walking about in a sauna. Way too warm for me. I'm not made for this sort of heat. And in fact, just touching on that, I mean, I seen the temperature when Rangers were playing on Tuesday evening. 30 degrees it was. It was crazy warm. Anyway, enough about the weather. People are tuning in to talk all things Rangers. Just a reminder, folks, you can see the little ticker below. We've got that great offer on the website still. It's £2 for 2 months worth of content. So many of you taking advantage of that and saying great things. So thank you for doing so. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. And what I'll do is I'll stick the website URL into the comments box as well here, so you can just click on that and that'll take you straight through to sign up. Okay, let's talk all things Rangers, Craig. Now you've done a bit of analysis on Tuesday night's defeat to Union in Belgium. We gave a bit of a reaction yesterday, but you've had a closer inspection on where it all went wrong. Can you fill us in and what you found?
Yeah, it went wrong, as in it went wrong in the way that Rangers didn't really try and force the issue too much, which was disappointing. I think a lot of people sort of noticed that maybe after Tuesday night that I think Gio's game plan maybe was to, especially after going 1-0 down, was maybe to just get away with 1-0 and then, hope that the Ibrox factor, as it has been during the Europa League last season, would tell next week. So yeah, it was just, just to echo pretty much what I said yesterday. It was very, very slow, pedestrian, very sort of, looking to penetrate down the right. And he obviously posted the pass map yesterday, and complete void on the left-hand side. I think Barisic and Tillman didn't complete a pass together once. So it kind of shows you, how much Rangers relied on that right-hand side, and Union done a really good job of stifling it. They're really sharp at tracking the runners. I spoke about yesterday again about Matondo and using him the way that he did. Sort of using him as a sort of wide forward where he had to take the ball in, and that that's not his strength. His strength is running into space. There's a big difference between playing as a wide forward and playing as a winger. A winger can receive by the touchline. You've got space to drive at players, but he never had that. He was very much trying to hold the ball in, and obviously we had Kamara playing as a 10, and he's not the type of player who wants to break beyond the defensive line consistently. I think that was something that people noticed at the time. And then obviously we had Cholak, who touched the ball, I think it was 8 times, I think I remember writing, which is obviously a really low amount. I think it was only 3 or 4 against Livingston. So there's obviously a big issue about that. That's something that I'm going to investigate further today. So yeah, I think there was a real problem in terms of connecting the defence and midfield to the attack. That's something that was highlighted in the pass map. I think that's something that needs to be addressed next week. Hopefully we do get Kent back next week, but even then, even if he does come back, we need a far better performance, and we need the players behind that forward line to really step up, because it's a big task next week.
Yeah, I'm pleased you touched on Cholak, and Craig is writing a piece on him this afternoon for the website, folks, so do go check it out. But Mark Hateley has been scathing in his assessment of his performance, Craig. I'm just going to tell you what he said. He was speaking to BBC Sports Sound. He says it was, he's talking about Rangers' performance. First of all, he said it was a poor show, weak and blunt. We don't even know if Union's back three are any good. Is the keeper any good? We don't know. Union figured Rangers out after 25 minutes. At the end of the day, Rangers are very, very lucky to come away with a 2-0 defeat. You could see a second goal coming all second half. Then you worry about the third goal. Cholak, for me, was a waste of time. If Morelos is playing there, the ball goes into him. Cholak didn't demand the ball. pretty scathing from Big Mark there, Craig. Now, he's a man that knew how to play centre forward. However, I think people need to get their head around the fact that Antonio Colak or any other striker at Rangers is not Alfredo Morelos. He's pretty unique, Morelos. And Rangers need to adapt the system to get to play with the likes of Cholak or whoever else it is, whether that be Kemar Roofe or before Cedric Eaton or what have you. Like you say, not many touches on the ball. Similarly at Livingston, although he did score, of course it was ruled out for offside at the Tony Macaroni. But I think it's a bit harsh on Cholak to expect him to be Alfredo Morelos number 2.
Yeah, it is, and it's that's a sort of problem with Tuesday night and obviously going back to Saturday. It just appears as if Cholak's been planted, in the team and been told, look, try and play the way that Morelos does, but he's not that sort of type of striker, and I don't think he was actually bought to be that type of European striker that we saw on Tuesday night. Ultimately, he's been thrown into this situation because Roofe and Morelos are injured. It's not something that I'm sure that Van Bronckhorst planned for, but it's come to realisation because of those injuries. So I think that's something that when you do play with Cholak, especially in these sort of tough European games, you probably do need to sort of reconfigure the way that you play, because he's not going to drop off. I think touched on that yesterday about that failure to sort of connect with the front line. He doesn't want to come in front of the defenders and play off of being able to play into them. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's not that type of striker. He wants to run in behind. He wants to exploit space. Sorry. So yeah, that's the sort of problem. I don't think he was bought to be that type of striker, but he's been thrown into that situation. And I think maybe Gio was guilty of not sort of adapting to the way that Cholak plays. And I don't think he's going to radically change his system, because ultimately, we're not talking about Morelos being out for a couple of months now. We're talking about the fact that he could really be back next week. So,
yeah,
you don't want to be completely rejigging the system. But I think that was, a big part of the problem in terms of the attacking play on Tuesday night, was it just wasn't suited to the way that Cholak plays, and that's a sort of big problem. But at the same time, you do have the other hand that you don't really want to radically overhaul the system just to suit the way he plays, because ultimately he's going to probably be out the team next Tuesday if Morelos is fit. So yeah, hopefully that we do see the sort of the best of Cholak, and I think he'll be used predominantly in domestic games. I think he's probably at his best when he can sort of hover about the penalty box, and we do have teams pinned into the final third. I think you saw that against Livingston in the second half, that maybe if you do give him the service, he can, obviously the goal that he scored, he can, finish. But yeah, I think that's what you saw again on Tuesday night, was the team just wasn't suited to the way that he wants to play. And, if you don't want to get the best out of him, you probably do have to change. And, that's the way that Gio needs to do. Yeah.
Listen, I think some of the comments towards him were pretty harsh. And as Gallant Pioneer says, it was just ignoring the fact Cholak's good finish at Livy that was ruled out. Yeah, spot on. I think he's going to score goals for Rangers, there's no doubt about it. Feed him, supply him with balls into the box, and more often than not, he'll find the back of the net. So I don't have any reservations with regards to that. But I think he's just not Alfredo Morelos. And who is really and the Rangers can go and get.
It's the same issue that like Tottenham had for years and years.
Exactly.
They tried to get an understudy for Harry Kane, and nobody does what Harry Kane does. He's sort of 2-in-1 striker, so it is difficult to find someone that can replicate that.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's touch on Morelos. A lot of questions coming in with regards to him. Martin Clark says, morning all, Alfredo and Kent play, we go through in his opinion. Of course, Ryan Kent should be back for that second leg as well. He was badly missed on Tuesday night. But Alfredo coming back, I've got a piece on the website, folks. I think it's huge. There's no question about it. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst also agrees. He was asked about it post-match, and he said he should be back for the game. The only reservations I would have is that he's not played since the 20th of March when he injured his thigh. Of course, it's been some amount of time he's not played any games. I would be inclined to give him some minutes on Saturday, Craig, against Kilmarnock. I think it makes sense if he's Giovanni Van Bronckhorst says if he's training with the squad and he's fit enough, I don't think I'd start him at the weekend, but he has to play some amount of the game on Saturday just to sort of get his match fitness up a little bit for Tuesday.
Yeah, I think you do. I think that there's a huge risk if you're sort of throwing him into Tuesday night's game, and considering what's at stake and the way that the game maybe pans out, and the energy from the crowd, it might, especially someone that's not kicked the ball since March, it might get a little bit too much. And I think it was last year against Malmo where he didn't play the first leg, and then he was available for the second leg. I think he maybe came back late because of international duty last summer. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think you do risk that in terms of, maybe he does fade as the game goes on, because I think you see with Morelos, he rarely gets injured, but when he does, he takes a couple of games to get back up to speed. So yeah, it's not an ideal situation that Rangers are facing, to be honest, in terms of hanging your hat on someone that's not kicked the ball since March to sort of drag you through and get to the playoff round. So
yeah,
I think we need to see him on Saturday in some capacity, maybe for the last 30 minutes, depending how the game goes. Hopefully maybe the game's out of sight by 60 minutes and then you can get him on and there's not as much of a risk. So yeah, I think we do need to see him on Saturday if we are going to see the best out of him on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's so similar to last year, isn't it? When Rangers needed him for that Malmo second leg and he scored that early goal, but unfortunately Rangers just failed to capitalise on that. And Cholak was a man that destroyed Rangers' Champions League hopes on that occasion. But he set up, if it wasn't for Cholak, there would be no Seville, Craig. So I always look on the bright side with regards to that. But listen, it's going to be a huge task for Rangers on Tuesday night. There's some questions coming in saying, do you play Morelos and Cholak together? Now, historically, Craig, Morelos can't really play with anybody alongside him. I know that in the 55 season, Kemar Roof played up alongside him at points. I remember the Old Firm game at Ibrox when they ran riot. However, in the main, it's not generally something that's worked, has it?
No, I think you saw it a lot when Gerrard tried to do it with Defoe and Morelos, and it just never really worked. I think to play in a strike partnership, you really need to be sort of technically accomplished, and I think Morelos is all right, but he's not sort of technically going to set the house on fire. So I think he's better as a lone striker, and you can get sort of players running beyond him, and you can attack maybe through Kent and whoever plays on right, whether it's Matondo or Scott Wright. So yeah, I would be sort of reluctant to sort of experiment, especially in a game of this magnitude. I don't think it's something that's, especially in history, has ever worked. We obviously saw it with Roof, but he played a sort of inside right role. So I would be really reluctant to sort of experiment with that, especially with what's on the line on Tuesday.
Yeah, and some of the comments coming in, sort of this bit of realism here. Morelos has been out for some time. It does take him a while to get going. I wrote this in my piece this morning. Ross Nielsen says as well, he made the mistake last year against Malmo at Ibrox when we're relying on Morelos and he wasn't fit, and it was evident. We need other players to step up on Tuesday as well. We absolutely do, and that means all the players that played on Tuesday night. I think that they all need to up their game. A question that came in I wanted to touch on here. Kenny says, we really miss Kent. Totally agree. On the plus side, Tillman and Yilmaz played well and must be regular starters from now on. I can see both starting the game on Saturday, Craig. I think Tillman, everyone was really impressed in the opening stages of the game. He was eager to get on the ball. He just looks so composed on it, and he's willing to try different things. I wouldn't necessarily call it showboating, but it's just he seems to be a level above some of his teammates in the opposition as well. Yilmaz as well, we've seen that him coming on for Barisic. I think they both start on Saturday. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the ideal game, especially for Yilmaz to obviously start for the first time. I think these are the type of games that Tillman's sort of been signed for. I think he's probably the closest Aribo replacement in terms of his ability to take the ball in tight spaces and thread those sort of slide rule passes. I think we saw it on Tuesday for the ball he delivered for Cholak, which he's obviously delivering from that sort of inside left channel. So I think Saturday's going to be the ideal game for both. I think Yilmaz again. I think he'll get the nod next Tuesday as well. I think he suffered badly, especially on that left side in Belgium. Sorry, in terms of just not having that player who wants to stretch down the line. Barisic is very much glued to the defensive line. I think you saw that when the ball was switched. Every time the ball went to Barisic, it came back inside again because he just doesn't have that dynamism to go down the line. So I think we'll see both on Saturday. Hopefully we do see both on next Tuesday. Maybe we might see Lawrence, maybe his goal threat on next Tuesday might replace Tillman, but I think definitely we'll see them Saturday. And I think conditions are really suited for Saturday as well for both.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as a comment comes in here from Ian McPhee, good friend of the show, says McInnes's Kilmarnock team will pack their defence. We need more penetration down the wings to make the breakthrough. Totally agree. Kilmarnock, we're just looking to contain Rangers and it's well within their rights, of course, as well. We see it a lot when teams come to Ibrox, 10 men behind the ball, and I'd imagine that will be a challenge for Rangers to unlock the two banks of five on Saturday. So, they're going to have to show a bit of invention. David C. Tripp says, any sign of Hadji coming back? Unfortunately, no, David. He'll be back after the World Cup. That is the scheduled return date. So it'll be almost a year when he does eventually come back. So it's a right blow because he's another player who Rangers badly missed, and he could have been doing with them on Tuesday night for sure. Let's get to some of the other questions that are coming in here. There was questions here about the midfield trio, Craig, the Kamara, Jack and Lundstrom combination. It didn't work on Tuesday night. People saying it's laborious and slow, but predictable. We've seen John Lundstrom playing in a deep line position over on the right-hand side. I don't think that suited him. He just couldn't influence the game. But is that a midfield trio you'd like to see going forward? Is it too defensive for you?
Yeah, especially for the problem that you've got with that midfield trio is if you're aiming to get away with a 0-0, then fair enough because you can really control the game. But once like in Tuesday night, once you go 1-0 down, then something needs to change because you've not got that balance. It's not as if you've got maybe two setters and then 110. I think that's something you saw on Tuesday night, and it relates to Cholak as well. That's fine playing that midfield trio if you've got a striker who can drop off and play between the lines like Morelos can, but Cholak isn't that type of player. So you've got a massive void between the midfield and the forward line because none of these players are really comfortable. We saw Kamara pushed higher, but he's not comfortable in that position. He doesn't want to penetrate the back line. He doesn't want to. He can run from midfield, but it's not his game. He doesn't look comfortable. He's got no conviction in doing it in the way that maybe an Arfield or Tom Lawrence does. So, I think especially on Tuesday night, I think individually, I don't think any of those players really stood out. I felt Lundstrom was a bit redundant in his role in the back three. He wasn't really pushing up, which Rangers were obviously really stifled down that right hand side, and you obviously had that luxury of Lundstrom able to push up, but that obviously wasn't happening. Kamara wasn't breaking beyond. It was obviously part of a midfield too, but he was part of a midfield too that had the three behind him, so he did have that license to go beyond, and that's something we've never seen. So, I think the problem you've got is, once you do go down, and then you've got this midfield trio that don't really offer that threat between the lines, and I think that's something we'll hopefully see in the return leg. I think we'll move to back four and maybe have more of a 10 between the lines, and we can play a bit higher up the pitch. So, I think individually they weren't get. I feel that Ryan Jack didn't have his greatest night. I don't think Ryan Jack's had his greatest night in a couple of months. I think he's maybe playing within himself since he came back from injury. I don't know if that's just me, but it's something maybe I feel. But it's something that hopefully we do need to address for the second leg, and we can get a bit more attack-minded players on the pitch.
Yeah, some comments coming in saying there's an interest in Glenn Kamara. Reports suggesting that Nottingham Forest are interested in him. I'll try and investigate today, folks, see if there's any truth in that. He is a player that and many clubs are aware of course. His European performances, I've put him on sort of the alert of a number of clubs, which you can argue with. He has been a real standout for Rangers in the main in Europe, although on Tuesday I think it's fair to say he wasn't at his best. Let's get to some other questions before we go. Let's see, where are we here? What have we got here? Gallant Pioneer says that our passing on Tuesday was the worst I've seen in a long time. It sort of touches on your piece there, Craig. You're talking about the passing, and I've seen that the XG or something was the worst, I think, of Rangers in Europe in recent years as well. So it really was a poor night all round. A right bad day at the office for Rangers. In terms of Kilmarnock then on Saturday, can you see many changes from the starting lineup on Tuesday night, or it's hard to say really? We've talked about Morelos. I think he is more likely to come off the bench. Do you continue with Cholak up front on his own? There's so many questions with regards to the starting lineup, Craig, but would you be inclined to make a number of changes for that game?
Yeah, I think there'll be a fair few. I think we'll see Yilmaz. I think we'll see maybe Ben Davis alongside Goldson as well. Obviously, we saw him on Tuesday. I think he'll get his first start, maybe in anticipation of Tuesday. I think maybe Tom Lawrence might come in, maybe as a 10. Maybe we'll see sort of maybe one sitter and then maybe two number 10s ahead of him. Maybe Tillman and Lawrence would be the sort of ideal solution. So yeah, I think we need to show. I think fans will want a bit more attacking endeavour, especially after Tuesday. I know, Union and Kilmarnock are obviously worlds apart, but yeah, I think we might see definitely see a return to a back four. I think we probably will see maybe Tillman and Tom Lawrence. I think Tom Lawrence will come back in. I think we'll see. Obviously, I'm not sure about Kent's fitness, but if he is available, I think he'll play Cholak. He's only available option, so it's something that we need to deal with. Hopefully, we do see Morelos on the bench. That'll be a big boost, and yeah, I think we'll see. Matondo off the right again. I think these domestic games are a lot more suited than they're always playing on Tuesday. So yeah, I think we'll see a fair few changes, and hopefully, they are with Tuesday in mind.
Yeah, Sonny Boy sort of wants to see Lawrence as well. Listen, I think Lawrence is going to be a cracking signing for Rangers. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him coming back in on Saturday. Callum watching us all the way from Argyle Street. So great to have you along with us, Callum. And so many of you tuning in from all over the globe. So it's great to have your interaction as ever. Magic Man says this. I just wanted to touch on this before we go, Craig. Get Lovelace on the bench now. He's banging them in for the B team. I seen a goal he scored the other day there. I mean, it was absolutely exquisite, the control and the finish. He looks a big unit for a young lad, only 16 years of age. I don't think he'll be in that B team long. I like the look of this boy, and I think he's. I think he may be promoted to the first team before too long. He looks the real deal.
Yeah, he was on the cusp of the Millwall first team, which shows you the way he's standing. I don't think he'll be in the B team for too long. I think he's far too good for that level. And it was a smart signing. Rangers have made a lot of smart signings, especially in the youth ranks this summer. Obviously, recently as well, saw Alex Lowry come back. I think he played 45 minutes with the B team, which is good. I think he'll rejoin the first team, and he's another option, another attack-minded option. We're sitting here and bemoaning and the sort of conservatism on Tuesday night, but we do have sort of options in that attacking midfield. I think we probably do need a bit more, but that's obviously depending on whether Champions League money comes in. But yeah, I think in terms of Lovelace, I think he is far too good for that level. There's a reason that he was banging down the door in Millwall, and
yeah,
hopefully we do see him involved. I think we've obviously got that Queen of the South Cup game at the end of this month. Yeah. I think hopefully we see him involved in that.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Millwall were furious that the Rangers were able to snap him up for peanuts, which just tells you how highly they're rated. Zach Lovelace. Just to finish up, Juice Master Gaming says, how close to fitness is Lowry? We were told that he's back training with the B team. That was last week, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst told us. So he shouldn't be too far away. I'd imagine he's another one that's sort of just getting up to speed. But again, we need to remember he's not played for some time, so it may take him a little bit of time to get back up to speed. And imagine, I'm not too sure if he'll be utilised in the B team before knocking on the door of the first team again. But yeah, he's one I'm sure the supporters will be really excited to see. And again, impressed, of course, the second half of last season with his appearances in the Cup. And of course, who can forget that goal at Tynecastle? Absolutely sublime. So everyone excited to see him back up to fitness as well. So yeah, hopefully he's back before too long. Okie dokie, I think that'll do us there. Thanks to everyone for getting in touch with you. And as you say, Aldo said you played 45 minutes for the B team the other night. Yep, so just getting up to match fitness. So yeah, hopefully it's he's back banging on the door soon, because Rangers certainly missed that sort of creativity. They certainly did on Tuesday night. Okie dokie, we'll be back again tomorrow for a big preview ahead of the game on Saturday. Just a reminder of that great offer we've got on the site just now. £2 for 2 months worth of coverage. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. Until Friday, enjoy the rest